I'm not sure, we probably put these in order purposefully, but it's perfect to follow up on John's talk because we did a very similar thing between Moravian and Lafayette, and we encountered very similar problems. So see if we can come up with some solutions by the end of the talk. So I worked with Gary Keskowitz at Moravian and Chris Rubick at Lafayette College, and we also have this kind of two-course sequence with collaboration. The focus of our collaboration is slightly removed specifically from the content of our courses. Of course, it's relevant, but it's on this community-based learning and research. So I'll give you an introduction, talk about the two courses, the technology gains that we made, and our room for improvement, and how we're going to look ahead with our project. So our project foundations, 2 points, quantitative social science inquiry and collaborative-based research and learning. So we used 2 different courses to work through these 2 main goals. The first was a research methods course that I ran last fall at Moravian, and the second is a marketing research class which is being taught currently at Lafayette and at Moravian. Okay, so why quantitative social science inquiry? Many of us probably already know the answer to this question, but we want to enhance students' opportunities to uncover curiosity, improve understanding of survey design and data collection, and make meaningful contributions to their community. So community-based learning and research is going to be our segue into the community, and this is going to provide opportunities for us to develop in-class modules and ways for the students to coordinate between semesters, whether or not we have the same students in the classes in the fall and the spring. In the past, previous projects were with Lehigh Valley Live Fresh, my local community gardens, and then Chris and I have been collaborators on state at the Lehigh Valley for many, many years. We'll be here on Thursday morning giving a presentation if anybody wants to come back. I think in this room. Okay, so research methods, I'll skip to the course objectives here. So we want to develop the skills in primary data collection and cleaning. We want to explore early stages of CBLR so that the students moving on to marketing research have a firm foundation. And we also want to create modules for transferable knowledge. So that was a really big component of the first semester class, right? So ideally, we wanted that class to be a prerequisite for the second course, but there's 2 problems with that. One, we can't do that in a year, right? That requires a lot of oversight and committee, lots of committees. So that's going to take some time. And then we can't require a Moravian course to be a prerequisite for a Lafayette course, right? So we wanted to create modules for the students to be able to get the information even if they're not in the previous course. So this was new course development at Moravian College. Right, so somehow in the economics and business department, we did not have research during this course. So now we do. So we're excited about that. Use this as an opportunity to develop and improve with the flipped classroom model. And then the students were introduced to the CBLR project, and we did a project with the United Way this past fall. And then a big component of the class, again, was the module development, which was screencasting. So Farrah provided an exceptional amount of support to the students and to me during this process. So the students developed, I had a very small class, I had 12 students, so we did 4 screencasts that the teachers in marketing research are using right now and sharing with their students. But I can't emphasize this enough as we've been hearing throughout the other presentations, use the technological resources. You don't have to become the expert in the technology because we have resources on campus, on all of our campuses to help us with that. So marketing research, this is the course that's happening right now. And this was a theme, I think, in some of the other classes where we did some hybrid work, that we have different prerequisites or we have different course levels. So that was still an issue that we dealt with. But we want the students nonetheless to apply the research methods and advanced statistical analysis to the community-based learning and research projects. So I didn't put this on here, but the projects that they're working with, and these are not my courses, but let's see if I can remember. One is with a theater group in Easton. They're putting on a play next week, this week, Friday maybe. Tortufo. And then the other is with the Lehigh Valley
LGBT. I'm always not sure if I get all of the letters
In the right order.
in the right order. But this one is just LGBT.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we have 2 organizations and we have 2 classes. And so we have students in both classes working on both projects and then assessing each other's work on the projects. Again, because there's 2 different levels, with the students at Lafayette have taken econometrics and the students at Moravian may or may not have taken econometrics, they're assessing different parts of each other's projects based on their prior knowledge of one. Okay, so how are we doing this? So collaboration is a really big part of these projects. So I have some examples to share on the different tools that we use. So of course we have the standard face-to-face meetings, still the best, right? Second best, virtual meeting spaces. We've used a variety. Learning management systems, right? So last semester I had Canvas. Last semester I had Blackboard. This semester I have Canvas, right? Because we're moving to Canvas as well. But Lafayette is still on Moodle. So we are going across 3 learning management systems. So we found that Google Applications has actually been the best for us, and it's been the easiest for the students to use. So we have communities, and so community kind of just looks like this. It's just a virtual discussion board. And I set this up not overthinking enough when I did it in the fall, that I restricted it to Moravian instead of making it private but open. Right? So private but open to anyone who requests access. So Chris now can't see this. Only Gary can see. Because you can't change that setting afterwards. So you want to do that correct. Okay, so this is kind of just how my students work through different projects. So I've highlighted, there's different areas, there were different groups, they made them themselves, and they work in this space outside of class. So the other thing that I want to show you, again, is just the Google Documents, which, right, a simple sharing mechanism, but it really helped the students work together. So as they worked with the United Way, one of the main goals was that they had to identify the research question, right? We're in research methods. So what's the iterative process that goes through designing a research question? So they each individually put what they thought the research question was after the speaker came. Right? And then they started to work, and they were all different. And then we paired them up into different number of people, and then they developed all the way down into a single research question. Right? And then this became the document from which they worked for the rest of the semester. Right? And what was great about this community in general and these documents is that we worked very much with the research librarians on campus during the semester. And I was able to just invite them, right, because they were from Moravian, I did that right. So I could just invite them into the community. And then all of a sudden they were caught up with all the work that the students have been doing. So that worked really, really well. Now, the module creation and sharing was also just fantastic. Now, Farah told me that I shouldn't worry. The students will figure it out, but I worried a lot. And I especially worried the week before we were doing this, and I was creating my own, and then I got the plague, and I couldn't speak, so I couldn't create my own, so I didn't have an example. But it worked out. Right? One benefit of that was that I showed the students the incomplete process. Right? And I think that sometimes we do students a disservice by showing them the final product, and they think that it just looks like that the first time that you do it. So by showing them the incomplete process and all the necessary steps to create this screencast without actually having it done, it kind of gave them a heads up of the process that they were going to have to go through. Now, Farah came and gave a demonstration to the class, and then we had a few working sessions during class where she came back to provide help. The students just ran with it, right? They just love this. Now, the video capturing, this is another time where I can tell you about a mistake that we made. And Chris will own this, right? He's mad at himself still, and it happened like, 6 weeks ago. He had a guest speaker in class, and he set up the technology, and then he forgot to hit record. So I can go back here. Now, so again, the video capturing, so Chris had that set up because, again, we have different semesters between Moravian and Lafayette in spring. We're 2 weeks apart. We have different teaching schedules. So the students didn't have the ability for synchronous work, and they didn't want to ask our guests to go to 2 different campuses on 2 different days, right? So we were going to record these presentations. Chris did it first, and he forgot to hit record. So that presentation was lost. Gary's was the next week, so he had that fresh in his mind. He remembered to hit record. So there are those things that just happen. So the technology, even as prepared as we can be sometimes. So I'm just going to show a very brief intro. I know we're kind of running over, but this is the student. We had 2 students work on IRB, right? So this is just an intro into what the students prepared.
Hi everybody, welcome to our presentation about the Institutional Review Board. My name is Angie.
I'm Abigail.
And I'm Billy. We hope you enjoyed the next 4 minutes.
So we're going to explain you what IRB is. After that, we will tell you something about the history of IRB, followed by some helpful tips that are recommended when you are submitting an IRB application at Moravian College, which is also called HSIRB.
All right, so then they go through and they give you a brief history and some tips, and they loved this. I mean, can we spend another day working on our screencasts? Sure, right? Go for it, have fun. I had, so 2 groups ended up using this Go Animate. We had another group who did kind of voice over PowerPoint, and then we had a 4th group who used iMovie, I think, and concatenated a bunch of different screenshots. So Farah was great in giving the list of all of the choices, and then the students chose the one that worked best for them. So again, speaking to their preferences, they're going to have preferences, and my view was just let them use what they thought they could do the best work with. And they really were engaged in this. So again, room for improvement, not to sound like a broken record, but the collaboration and the planning is much more challenging than you expect it to be. Again, even when you have prior working relationships, coordinating resources is more costly than we often realize. Simplicity is key. Chris has been repeating this daily, I think, for all spring semester with these courses that are going on together. And even, right, I think this last point was Chris's about, I think even if he hit record, he said he didn't quite have the right microphone, and he was worried that the speaker's voice might not have been recorded. So there's a learning curve, right? And we need the time to practice with all these new technologies. I think we're not going to get it right the first time. Looking ahead, the outcomes we have, so we have some shareable modules, and I think we have a process by which we can create more, which is really exciting for future courses. We have more skills, right, with different digital tools. The students do, and we do as faculty members, and we do have this increased engagement among the students. So what are we going to continue to improve? Development of learning modules. Again, being more explicit in our goals. I think that we all are always working on that, and then we have much opportunity to refine the process of interinstitutional collaboration. So that's all I have. Have any questions? We may have asked all our questions of John. It was very similar.
How many classes did you allow the students to work on their screen?
I allowed them in total 3 70-minute sessions. And then they worked outside the class as well. And 2 of those, I think Farah was in the room.
All right.